Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me once again. My guest today is somebody who's a familiar face on our television screens. I think when it comes to cricket, he's held every position there can be in cricket. I think coach, captain, umpire, commentator. It's the one and only David Bumble Lloyd. Very warm welcome to you, Bumble.
Thanks, Saj. A lot to talk about.
There certainly is, Bumble. Let's start with put your visa head on, your immigration officer head on, Bumble, first. Shoaib Bashir misses the first test because of visa issues. Somebody's made a mess up there, haven't they?
Yeah, and I just think right at the beginning we didn't get a full story, and so there were many people, me included, were up in arms that here's a lad who's going to be left behind. But when you get a bit more detail, they were in the UAE, travelling into India, and it just transpired that all he needed to do, he needed a stamp that they weren't aware of, and that stamp couldn't be done in the UAE. It had to be done back in the UK, down at London. And so he popped home. So when it first started, he's had to go home. Well, we were all up in arms then, but that wasn't the full story. Hang on. Right, hang on. Right. So that wasn't the full story. He needed the stamp in London, so he got a flight back, got the stamp, and then back into India. And so, yeah, it's unsatisfactory. And I suppose the bottom line is he misses that first test match. Would he have played? Do you know, he might have had a chance of playing, in that they played two left-arm spinners and a leggy. Well, they might have just done with an off-spinner as well, but he's in contention for the second anyway.
Unusual for England to go into a test match, irrespective of where it is, with just one seamer, Bumble. And even that seamer, I mean, I'm a big fan of Wood, but he's had his injury problems, hasn't he? It's a gamble.
Yeah, and he's been ineffective, hasn't he? We talk about 95 miles an hour, but the Indian batters have handled that without a problem. It was obviously a pitch that would spin from ball one, and it looked a good pitch to me. It looked a really good pitch. If you look at England's performance in this test match, in a 5-match series, it reminds me so much of the first game against Australia. In fact, the first two games against Australia, when they went 2 down, and playing this gung-ho cricket and getting a little bit ahead of themselves. And so we've every chance that we'll lose this game. They've got to wait for a miracle, really, to get anything out of this game. But I think there's real similarities between that first and second game against Australia. They've just got to rein it in a little bit and be a bit more savvy. India are a fabulous team.
What about the preparation, Bumble? I mean, no warm-up matches in India. Some have criticised that.
Yeah, I've no problem with that, because if you'd have gone and played warm-up matches in India, you wouldn't have had great opposition. Your pitches wouldn't have been anything like the one that they've played on. So what they've tried to do in the UAE, and I know that they've had, real solid practice in the UAE on pitches that they would expect to play against. And so I'm okay with that. The days have gone. I was recalling in 74-5 when we went to Australia before that first test match, we played every state. So that, those days are gone. And of course, when India will come back to England this summer, it'll be very, very similar. I think they'll come in at the last minute. It's the way that test teams do. So I'm not critical of that. It's 5 matches. And I'm sure that at the end of this game, the interviews will say, okay, all right, we're going to get better.
What makes India so powerful and strong at home?
Well, we're going to talk about Pakistan. And what I see about India is that they're very settled. They've got a good system. They've got a system that produces cricketers year in, year out, and good young cricketers. Jailwal at the top of the innings plays in the IPL alongside Josh Butler. So that's Rajasthan Royals, I think. He's a wonderful player at the top of the innings, and he's a dasher. And he climbed into England, particularly into Tom Hartley. So they must have a really good system of producing cricketers, because they always have done. And if you recall, Saj, when I think it was Dennis Lilly who found a fast bowler, and it was MRF, I think it was Madras Rubber Factory, who sponsored the whole thing. And looking to find, because that was the thing that they were missing, wasn't it? They've always produced wonderful spinners, but they were missing quick bowlers. And it's quite a long time ago that Lilly went across and they started producing quick bowlers. And there's nothing better than Bumrah, nothing better than the 2 or 3 lads that they've got now. They're excellent.
They keep producing these fantastic cricketers, as you've mentioned, Bumble, but these are cricketers who are good in all formats, aren't they?
Yeah. That's the other thing, that they can move from 2020 cricket, 50-over cricket seamlessly. There's no real problem, whereas other countries are, well, he's a one-day player, Joss Butler, or he's a one-day player, and we put him in a pigeonhole there. But India, move away from the players themselves. You look at the captains that they've had. They've had some really, this lad's a really good captain, Rohit Sharma. They've had Virat Kohli, who was up and at him, let's get stuck in. MS Dhoni, as good as it gets. They've had some fabulous captains. But above that, now they've got Rahul Dravid, well respected, a wonderful cricketer in his own right. Ravi Shastri was there, and Ravi Shastri would give him a little bit of stardust as well. So I think when you look at the whole package of the Indian team, the Indian management, the production line of Indian cricketers, they're absolutely bang on.
And Jimmy Anderson, he's not playing in this test match, which is a bit of a surprise to some, but there's some pictures of him recently, Bumble, where he looks in fantastic shape. I mean, somebody who looks after himself like you as well will know how difficult that is. I mean, Jimmy Anderson, a word about him, 41-year-old. We've got Pakistani youngsters who are half his age and probably twice his weight.
Yeah, and I saw that on social media, and it's a good point that your yardstick would be Jimmy Anderson for longevity to stay in the game. He's got a fabulous physique. He ain't going to put pounds on. Make no mistake, Jimmy Anderson, outside of the game, enjoys himself. He has a rounded life outside of the game of cricket, but his obligation is to stay fit and to do the job. I would expect him. How many is he going to play? 2? He might play 2, maybe 3, if they feel that there's something in it for him. And I can see why they play Wood in this game with one quick bowler. They're going to pick the quick man. Whereas if they play 2 seamers, I assume that Anderson would play. And I wouldn't be surprised if Wood misses the next one and they play Robinson alongside Anderson to give a bit of variation. But in this, why they've picked this team with all the spinners, forget all the spinners, they've tried to pick a very, very long batting lineup with Rian Ahmed in there, with Tom Hartley and Mark Wood at number 10. And so, the all-rounders, Tom Hartley and Rian Ahmed, but they've needed all the batting. They've been found a bit wanting. They are a fabulous team, so England have a real challenge to come back with some strength into this series.
And from the stability of India, we go across the border to the instability of Pakistan cricket, Bumble. It's just heads rolling, people leaving. The chairman's recently resigned. I think I saw a stat somewhere where in the last 14 months, Pakistan have had 5 chairmen and 2 test wins.
Yeah, and so let's just strip it back and look at the players. They've got some fantastic players. In my experience in the game, and it's a lot, if it's not right there, it'll transcend to the players. If it's not right at the very top, it'll come out on the cricket pitch, and that's what we're seeing. The captain resigns. The coaches have resigned or been resigned. The chairman resigns. And so you're into chaos now, and I'm outside looking in. You'll know far more about it than I do. It seems that there might be political interference that can't be right. You know, cricket is a cricket person's game. And so they need to find somebody, appoint somebody who will bring stability, bring them real stability. Imzaman was selector, wasn't he?
He was the chief selector, then he got replaced. The chairman's recently resigned. We've got an interim chairman. The captains have recently been changed as well, Bumble, and Mickey Arthur left his job as well. So it's been a pretty eventful couple of weeks.
Yeah, so they've now got a blank sheet of paper where they're going to start again. So they've got to get somebody has got to make the right decisions, the correct decisions that can take the team forward. Because these players are not mugs. They're just not. They've got some fabulous players. And if you can get some stability at management level and coaching level and get the players content, your players have to be content in order to compete. And we're not seeing that. It's just chaos. So it needs somebody. I mean, throw some names out. Who are the type of people who I would have thought that Imzaman would have been a good man. I'm a big fan of Waqar Younis. I think he's very solid. He's very he knows the game. He's been into the job. He's been out of the job. He's been back into the job. And so it needs somebody who's got a calmness about them that can bring stability to get the players confident again that they can go out and represent the country.
I think the biggest problem, though, Bumble, is that because you mentioned that political instability, people are watching their backs. The players are watching their backs. They're looking over their shoulder, as are the coaches, as are the selectors. You know, they're there for one tour. They don't know whether they're going to be there for the next series. That can't be a healthy environment, can it?
Well, it's not, and you know the word is chaos, and within any sporting organisation, you can't have chaos. You've got to have a plan, and you've got to have a vision looking forward, and you've got to look after your players. It's the bottom line is they play. They're the ones that go out and play. So if the players are quite embarrassed by what's going on, you won't get the performance. You just will not get that sort of performance that you'd expect. Now, the one thing we haven't mentioned, Saj, is the supporters. You know, it's a cricket mad nation and they deserve better. They deserve far better than this.
You know, fancy a role at the PCB as an advisor, Bumble?
Well, my time has gone, but it'd be what a wonderful challenge it is for somebody who's got a lot of ambition and say, okay, give me a sheet of paper, a blank sheet, and we'll start again. And then you've got to say to the people at the PCB, look, okay, you want me, now you've got to back me and let me get on with it. Just let me get on with it. And then you've got to build a relationship with a captain and with the players. And Sham Masood is captain. He's the lad who's captain at Yorkshire. So, he's got a lot on his plate. You look at the players that they've got, Babar Azam, Fakhar Zaman. They've got bowlers coming out their ears. They're lovely. You know, they deserve better.
Thank you very much, Bumble, for your thoughts once again. I'm sure we'll catch up in a short while, talking India, England, and also Pakistan cricket as well. And have a good frame of snooker.
I'm not very good.
Well, I'm sure you can pot a few, Bumble.
You're more optimistic than I am.
You have to be as a Pakistan cricket follower, Bumble. We have to be optimistic.
Good lad. All right, we'll speak soon.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Bye. Bye.